Welcome to another episode of A1 Agents. I'm so stoked for this guest. He's been a friend of mine for a few years now. We met at Craig Wiggins, through Craig Wiggins Coaching. My good friend Cole Caughern. A little bit about Cole. He has built a tremendous farmers insurance office over the last few years. He started in February of 2021, and he's built up to a $10 million agency. He's a coach in the insurance industry, and just an overall just solid human being. And I think you guys are going to sense that just, as soon as you hear him speak. And for those of you guys that know him, he's just a stand-up dude. So Cole, thank you so much for being with me today.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. I'm excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a while now.
Yep.
Trying to coordinate and make it happen, but I'm pumped up, dude. I'm ready to be here.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So Cole, tell my audience a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, so really I'm just a small town kid, I guess, from southern Oklahoma. Both my parents are educators, but all my family has been cattle ranchers, things like that. So I grew up around horses, cattle, things like that, and stumbled my way into insurance somehow, but it worked, man. And so that's me professionally, but I do a lot of cool things. Like right now I've been working with a nonprofit for cerebral palsy in southern Oklahoma. We help kids all over southeast Oklahoma free of charge. So kids from 1 to 18, if they have any kind of disabilities, need speech, language therapy, anything like that, we help with it absolutely free. So that's been really big to me lately. And then just I have a son, 4-year-old son named Creek, and he's pretty cool, man. I've been hanging out with him a lot, starting pre-K. So a lot of cool things going on right now, that and get ready for deer season. That's
Man.
the redneck in me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, the first question, this usually isn't the first question that I ask, but I just heard you talk about it. You're here in town for Craig Wiggins conference.
Yeah.
And the thing that you talked about on stage was what your why was.
Yeah.
And I typically don't ever start it off with that question, but man, it was so powerful.
Yeah.
So I just want you to talk about that.
Man, so I'll just give you the spill I just gave, and so me and my grandpa were extremely close. He passed away last year, and man, he grew up with nothing, absolutely nothing. And so, and I always use the saying, what you've heard me say is like, I was born with nothing, I still got most of it left, right? But he ended up building this, enormous operation, cattle ranching, and then put his daughters and his grandkids and everybody through college, and he helped people just all over. And there's not a place at the sale barn or nothing like that I go to that somebody doesn't say, man, your grandpa did this for me, he changed my life here, and it's like become really impactful. And I'm like, so to go from nothing to what he left behind, my why has been like he sacrificed, and he took risks, and he did things that most people never thought he'd be able to do, so that my family, me, we would have a foundation to build on. So I have to carry on that and continue to build what he started. Mm-hmm. So that's my why. Is like it's really not an option. It's like, what are you going to do to carry on this legacy that was left to you? Because you really have two choices, right? You can squander it, or you can scale it, or grow it, or whatever. So that's what I've chose to do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I feel very strongly about the sacrifices that were made by our parents and grandparents, and just to give us the little things that I take, that I'm so grateful for, like just not having to worry about food, not having to worry about what I was going to wear. I mean, I didn't have all the clothes, or I didn't have nice.
Yeah.
I wore the same things sometimes, twice a week, but I didn't have to worry about those things. And I think it's just the little things like that. And it's almost like we would disrespect their legacies or names if we didn't move that forward.
Right. Yeah. So. It is. I mean, it's one of those things. Like it's how disrespectful to squander a gift that's been given to you. Yeah. And so like that's just kind of how I see it, and I could be wrong, but that's the way I see it.
Yeah. I thought, I don't know if you barely mentioned it, but how people would go up to you and just say talk about the impact that your grandpa had on their lives.
Yeah,
just to help them in the situations where they needed it, with literally zero expectation for anything in return.
For nothing in return.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Something he did kind of brag on him was like, everybody knew who he was because he was hustling cars or hustling, if you need a bull or, certain type of cows or something, he would know where they were at or where to get it for you, And so he was, he knew everybody and everybody knew him. And so that's something that I've tried to carry on is I want to know everybody, and I would like, or I hope everybody knows me so I can be like, hey man, you need to meet this guy. He could really, really help you.
Yeah.
And so just kind of being someone that gets to make introductions and create opportunity for other people.
Yeah. So I meet you through the insurance industry. You, just in the short time that I've known you, I don't know how to say it, like one, you stand out, you stand out. So it's like, and then also you're incredibly likable. So it's hard not to kind of reciprocate that energy that you're putting out. And so after getting to know you, also seeing that you are just as driven as me, if not more. I don't know. I'm pretty damn driven.
Yeah, dude,
but you have that same fire,
Yeah.
And so it's it's refreshing to be surrounded by people like you. What you've done in the insurance industry in just a little amount of time, 3 years,
yeah.
Is nothing short of amazing, right? So talk about how you think insurance agents can kind of get on that not fast track, but on that track to success, right? Because a lot of agents that are watching my channel, they're looking for answers, they're looking for breakthroughs, they're looking for ways that they can improve their business. Mm-hmm. And that's what this channel is all about. So
the one thing I will tell you that is huge that I think so many agents struggle with is they forget to pay attention to the details, right? And so it matters, for instance, to listen to a phone call from a salesperson and every 30 seconds they're going, and you don't think anything of it. Because like right there, you don't think of it,
yep.
But we just don't pay attention to it. Those things matter because I always tell my staff, like, you may have been talking to people on the phone all day about insurance. Golly, I'm so tired of talking. But the person that picks up the phone that you're talking to on the other side, you're the first person they've talked to today about insurance. What impression do you want to leave behind, right? Do you want to leave behind like the one that they got the end of the day you, where you're worn out and tired and don't really give them their best effort, so they don't get the best options for them? Or do you want to give them the fired up version of you that's ready to go, I'm here to take care of you today? So those things matter. And the next thing, which this as well as I do, is just training.
Yeah.
People, they say like, oh, we had them watch this YouTube video. It's like, yeah, but did you ever sit down with them and say, what'd you learn? Let's role play, let's talk.
Yeah.
And then doing it consistently.
Yep.
You're a big gym guy, right? Are you going to get abs by working out once a month?
No.
You're not, right? You're not. But yet we have this weird thing where it's like, I'm going to role play with them this week. I'm all on fire and then I'm done. Well, why does my sales team suck? It's like, well, it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
Take some repetition, some reps, yeah. What were some of the things some of the biggest challenges that you had, Because I know it hasn't always been easy. I think there was a time where you needed to clean house, right?
Yeah, a couple times. I've cleaned house a couple times. All except one person that's been with me. My main CSR, she's been with me from the jump, but a couple of times we've just like, we're going to go it alone for a minute,
mm-hmm.
Until we can figure it out. The biggest challenge for me has been not only staffing, but onboarding and getting people up to speed rapidly. And we talk about this a lot. How many times have you been told like, oh, you got to wait 90 days to see what you got? It's like, I don't have 90 days of payroll to see what I got. I gotta see what I got in the first month or 2 weeks or a week. Yep. And so it's like, how do we onboard? How do we get people to speed fast and consistently to where it's a proven product? And then for me, man, I've now just come to expect like I'm getting better at hiring. I was like, okay, before, like, I know I'm going to have to hire 5 to 10 people to retain one. And stomaching that's hard.
Yeah.
Because it's disheartening. It's discouraging. Because when you hire somebody, especially new, right, and they're new, you have all this, like, excitement for them. Like, they're going to be the one. They're going to be the one. They're going to be so great. And then I don't want to say they let you down, but you get let down. It's like, oh, man, I got to do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard. That's a hard thing.
I think that's the hardest thing about this business for me, year 7, is the constant refilling of new team members and refilling of that pipeline. And what I've gotten really good at is removing the emotion and the attachment to my team, and just kind of just setting that expectation from day one. And I've gotten really good at. I heard Mark talk about this. He said, my retention on employees that get past 90 days, or I've never had to fire anybody past 90 days, but there's so many people that, get fired, within that 90 days, and just makes it a little bit easier to run your business. But I totally agree with that. What was, did you have an aha moment when things started to click for you in your journey?
I don't know, man. That's tough, because I don't think when you're in the grind and you're going at it every day, that when a aha moment happens, I think you're like, okay, good, we're done with that, let's move on to something else, right? Because especially early on, you're the guy running everything. Mm-hmm. Like, so right now, even at the blessings I've had with my growth, I'm still the one hiring, recruiting. I'm slowly getting out of onboarding, but I'm onboarding. Anytime something needs to happen, I'm the one who creates the content that goes out to the staff, whether it's a comp change or, here's how we say this or things like that. I'm the one doing that. So those are things that take a lot of your time. And then, like, even right now, I've been, every Friday, I've been trying to mop the floor in my office, like, remember why I'm here type stuff.
Yep.
And, but those are things like when you knock one thing out, it's like, okay, we can sit here and celebrate this and woohoo, or we could knock the rest of these things out that we got left to do. And so for me, aha moments are not really celebrating. It's like, okay, it's done. Let's go do something else.
Which is tricky, because it can come off as insensitive to our team sometimes when it's like, that was, man, it's a good transition. I just talked to my team about how there's that humor with memes and things like that, where it's like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
In sales. It's sales humor, where it's like, what have you done for me lately? Or the month's over and it's like, I don't care what you did last month. And I know that it's funny, but there's also this, like, it's like, they're making fun of the sales industry, and it's kind of like almost making fun of bosses too.
Yeah.
But I try to flip it into a positive. And I told my team this the other day. I said, the gym doesn't care how, your body doesn't care how good you ate last month if you start eating In-N-Out and ice cream sundaes every single day this month. It doesn't care what you did last month, right? It's going to show. Significant others, right? If they're ever, not feeling us, it's because it's how they're feeling right now. We could have taken them to Italy last month, right? Yeah. And spoiled them and gotten them all sorts of stuff.
It doesn't matter. I have a friend who always says, like, man, I'm great in relationships. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I'm loyal when I'm there. And I'm like, man, that's so backwards. No. Like, that's so wrong to say that stuff.
But that whole, like, it resets every day. It resets every single month, and you just have to embrace that, because,
Yeah, I think you better learn to stomach that. And you better, especially if you're going to be in this industry, which most of the time you're going to have more belief in someone than they have in themselves. And that's really hard too, because I can only believe it for you so much, and then eventually you've got to do your part too.
Yep.
And so that's something that's hard, because a lot of people like I said, they're going to be the one, and then 30 days later they're like, yeah, I think I'd rather go serve hot dogs for a living, And you're like, man. So people are going to let you down. You just got to get used to it.
Yeah. But that's how we all got to where we are, right? I mean, I had a manager that believed in me, and would speak like these sales accomplishments over me, and even like helped me out every once in a while, like gave me a bone to help me reach a certain pinnacle, and then turn around and give me all the credit, and then that means a lot.
My DM, farmers we have DMs, district managers, he's been monumental to me, and just like he's super, super steady all the time. There's no peaks or valleys with him. It's just steady. And I can call him and I get the same person I'd get whether I'm having a panic attack or most successful day ever, right? And so, but he's believed in me. And funny enough, we did our first interview on the Zoom and I hung up on him because I was like, you're full of crap. And I just hung up on him. But long story short, here we are. But yeah, people that believe in you are huge.
Yeah. How, we talked about this on the way here. How are you finding people? How are you hiring people for your agency? And then after that, talk about like what kind of works for marketing for you? Like what have you done to help you be successful in that?
Yeah, man. So as far as hiring people, up until recently, I've been on small budget, and so what I would do is waitresses or waiters or whatever, anybody I would meet, like, hey, you can work for me. You can work for me, So like Facebook posts, like send me your buddy, And but recently, because it's not as time consuming for me to do it this way, I have finally got to where I can pay hiring agencies. That's a huge huge step when you can get there. Sometimes it's hard because it's not cheap, but also when you get to think about it, it's not expensive.
Yep.
But it's hard to crack the nut, the first one, And so there's some really cool ones right now. Like we talked to some guys today that are with Team Hired. I've used Gary and Zana at Top Tier. Mm-hmm. I've used some people that are called Insurance Teamwork, recently. And so for me, what that's done is, man, that's been monumental because I'm hiring people now that are licensed, experienced insurance people. And because I do fully remote with all my sales team, it really don't matter where they're at. That's huge because before it was like, okay, let's hire you today. By the way, you need a license. And the class is in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. And it happens once a month that I would recommend going to. So go to that class, call me when you're done. All right, you're done? All right, take your test. Well, you got to schedule a week out for the test. Oh. So now we're 3 weeks in if I hired you last week.
Wow.
And so and then background checks and then appointments. And it's like, you could be 60 days and they haven't worked a day for you yet. And so this is like, hey, you got a license, you can pass background check, you've been doing it, we like you, come on, and in less than 30 days you're starting. And so that's been huge for me.
Okay. Yeah, and then that sounds like a way different process here in Vegas.
Yeah.
The remote thing is not something that I've fully embraced yet. If you start with me and you've worked here for a little bit, then you can go remote. But very few people have I just hired remote and it's worked out. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah. So I had to go where people are. Small town Oklahoma. How many people live in Vegas?
Over 3 million.
Yeah. So there's 15,000 in my town.
Wow.
Yeah. So even the big fish in a small pond, and that pond ain't a big fish, right? And so I was like, man, I need people that want to go, and they're just. If there's six agencies in my hometown right now, that's saying a lot. And of those 6, most of them are mom and pop shops with no employees, right? So there ain't nobody selling insurance around me,
right.
So I can't recruit from there. And so it's like, I got to go where the people are that want to work and want to do sales. And so remote was, for me, awesome. And so now systems and processes are huge. Mm-hmm. Like phone systems are huge. Your CRM is huge. And then just clear expectations, you know? And so like what I tell people is like, and you've heard this before, I never fire anybody. They fire themselves.
Yep.
But like, here is clearly what we want from you. Like, this is exactly what we want from you. If you want to do more, that's great, but you can't do less than this.
Right.
And if they choose to do less, it's like, hey, this is on you.
Right. You had any nightmare stories where people didn't return equipment or anything like that yet?
Oh, golly. Man, yes, I have. So what I will tell you, and I'm in the process of doing it right now, is, and I won't get into it because the last thing I want to do is talk bad about somebody, but it's important to have an employment lawyer
Yeah.
Find one. I'm trying to find one, but it's like, I want ironclad contracts that clearly state this or this, and then where I can call somebody like, hey, I want to cut Jimmy today. Do I have to pay him vacation time? All these things, because those are important conversations. But as far as equipment, like, I've had people try to hold my equipment hostage from me, like, you owe me money and things like that. And so, man, people are going to do what they're going to do.
Right. You
just got to kind of go on with your life and take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
I just have recently come out with a contract that you sign with me. It's like, if you should leave the company for any reason, termination or voluntary, all the equipment that you have is due back within 7 days, or we'll file theft charges on you. Just because, and then we have serial numbers of everything. So.
And everything's different per state, so you can't just use that's why you can't use somebody's handbook.
That's why you got to have a good lawyer, and I have a good lawyer, but I need an employment lawyer. There's there's differences, and they're not cheap. God, they're not cheap, but they're worth it, man. They're worth it.
What do you do for marketing that helps you guys write business, and how much you guys writing? And you said you have about nine team members, right?
Yeah. So 4 of which are really new. I'm getting in extremely heavy to life insurance.
Okay. I know right now is the craziest time. At the time of this recording, is the craziest time in insurance, especially in probably a state like Oklahoma.
Yeah. What kind of loss do you want? Because Oklahoma's got it.
Yeah.
The only thing we don't have is hurricanes yet.
We're so lucky in Vegas.
Yeah.
Most we have is like a windstorm.
Yeah. Well, and like underwriting restrictions are crazy right now. So, man, what I would tell you is, we do all of our PNC on internet leads. Everything.
Okay.
And if you follow my process and you're on my team, I can pretty well bet that I can get a producer to anywhere from $35,000 to $60,000 in sales each month, pretty consistently. You have some that go way above, right? But you can kind of pinpoint where they're going to be month over month once you know your numbers, like your data and stuff like that. The other thing I would tell you, and I'm not doing it now because I've been building my market through internet leads, figure out where we're competitive and stuff, is I like direct mail. Direct mail is really good if you know how to target. If you hope to just blast it out there and it work, that's not how it's not ever going to be effective. But no, there's really great companies like Smarketing out there that I work closely with when I do direct mail, and then I use several lead vendors like Quote Wizard, EverQuote, ZipQuote, Easy Live Leads. Those are all great. I think it's a volume game.
Yeah.
And so to say that you have to be with one company would be kind of hard. You just can't get the volume. But that's been huge for me, is internet leads, and then we're diving in pretty heavy to life insurance commercial now.
Yeah. What's worked for us with this, crazier insurance market is just filtering my leads and really hyper focusing on certain zip codes.
Yeah.
And homeowners for every lead. I want them to be a homeowner, and it helps a little bit. We went from 0 in homes, or not ranked in homes, to being top number 1 actually. So
a lot of people which is weird. I talk about they only focus on the auto, right? But if you'll focus on the home, every homeowner has a car.
Yep.
And so it's a little more expensive to go that route, but also the return on your investment's higher because you usually multi-line.
And the retention's usually way better too.
Yeah, especially if you'll write really good limits, take care of people, and you have a good service team, retention's really good there. But it's kind of wild, man.
What's your agency culture like?
Man, so my agency culture right now is honestly the best it's ever been. Everybody that is with me that's not new, right, so 90 days or less, has been with me, over 12 months. I've got one been with me 3 years, one's been with me 18 months, one's been with me 15 months. I got one having an anniversary right now. And so culture right now is phenomenal. And it's scaring me because it's really good. But so when
we're wired to think that way, though, man. It's when things are going too good, it's hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, but I've got a team of people right now that they back me really, really well as a leader. Because sometimes, right now, we have to make decisions that are not really everybody's favorite. And so culture's great right now. I call her my service manager, CSR. Her name's Blvd. Absolutely could not do anything without her. Like, she does everything for me. And then my sales manager, Kim, I went to high school with. She was working for an insurance company, and she randomly messaged me or emailed me. It's like, hey, I want to come work with you. And I put her through this, like, in John Wick, they said, like, you can get out if you do this impossible task. Yeah. She's the John Wick. I'm telling you, like, there's no way that anybody could have done what she did in my agency. Second month with me, she broke our single month sales record. Like, she's just a rock star. And so now she's running sales. I'm slowly getting out of training and onboarding new salespeople. But she has been a revelation for my agency and just popped up out of nowhere. And when I hired her, I was like, yeah, well, let's see what we got. Like,
yeah,
you know,
but I won't hold my breath.
Yeah, you know, whatever. And she's a crusher.
It's so hard to predict those, you know. And like we were talking about before we even got on camera, there's a people that you think, you know, are going to be just absolute rock stars, and it kind of just doesn't work out.
Yeah,
you know okay, so what you know, as you're coaching people, what are the most common, we kind of touched on it, but maybe elaborate further. What do you think the problem is with most insurance agency owners? Like, I know, to me, it's accountability and actually
Huge.
like taking action on that. You know, my coach, he tells me the biggest thing that he's noticed with me is I just take action. So you know, if I'm paying for this advice and they tell me that this is what I ought to do, then I'm going to take action on that advice. I'm not going to sit on it. It's like, that's a double waste of money.
I still have a coach. I just hired a new coach. You know, I was telling you about today. But one of my coaches, we went on a Zoom call one time. I was talking to him. He's like, hey, you got to cut so-and-so. I was like, okay. So I got up and I walked in there and said, hey, dude, pack your stuff. You're done today. And I can sit down and I was like, all right, he's done.
Oh, no, not in front of everybody, did you?
Yeah, in front of everybody. Yeah, he was done. They need to know, right? Like, that was an immature business thing at the time, you know. Now I wouldn't do it that way. I was very immature in business. I would not recommend that. But so I sat back down and was like, okay, he's gone. What now? He's like, well, crap, I didn't think you was going to fire him right now. I was like, that's what you told me to do. It's like, so, you know, that's the way you pay for coaching. You're going to use it or not. But I think a huge mistake people make, man, is just like, number one, they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
You know, they just really don't know do you want to sell this? Do you want to sell this? You know, everybody, almost 95% of agents have no idea how to onboard a new producer. They're like, okay, we got all your stuff. I just kind of start whenever. It's like there's no systems and processes and training platforms and things set in place. So it's like, we are going to build you up to where we want you. Like, just kind of start. And you may think you don't throw them to the wolves, but most people throw them to the wolves and maybe hold their hand with them, but they're still there fighting and have no idea what they're doing. And so that's one thing. And then the next thing is, like you said, just accountability and excuses. I hear excuses more than anything when I'm coaching people, and it's sometimes hard to stomach because you're, man, what's going on? And it's like, well, you know, the fair's in town, and so we went to that. And I don't know if you saw, but there's a new Equalizer movie out, and so, you know, I didn't want to miss that. And it's like, man, like, do you want this or do you not? And so it's figuring out, do you really want it, or do you really want this, and holding yourself as well as everybody around you accountable.
Yeah. I think what you started that off with is just so powerful, because I think life's always a constant series of, like, what do I want? You know, like, and what you wanted last year might not be what you wanted this year. And so many people are unclear of what they want, and then they're upset because they're not making progress because they haven't defined what they want. Therefore, it's this vicious cycle of just being upset at themselves.
Yeah, and I think too, man, like, you know, what I do. Most of the time when you start putting stuff out there, like, I want to do this, I want to do this and this, most of the time you get it.
Yes.
You know, and that's not always a good thing. Sometimes we get the things, you know, like as a kid, like, hey man, I want this new bike, and you get the new bike, and you're like, well, it's hot outside. Like, I didn't really want a bike now that I think about it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with us. Like, I want we were talking about jets earlier, right? Or let's say yacht, right? I want a yacht. So you get a yacht. And then it's like, well, dang, this things are expensive. I'm always working on it.
Yep.
Gas is crazy. It's like, I didn't really want a yacht. It didn't make me any happier. And so I think it's really important to like know, like, what are you doing and why are you doing it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just heard that dude Dan Bilzerian talk about that.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he wanted a Ferrari. He got a Ferrari. He's like, made me happy for a week, but then like right afterwards, it's just like, all right, what's next? What's next? And then came to that realization that, and this has nothing to do with insurance, but came to that realization that like the most important things to people are free. Mm-hmm. You know, ironically, it's like the things that we all like fill up our calendars with to achieve more and more progress and success. Well, I'll tell you this though, progress makes me feel happy. Mm-hmm. When I'm making progress on something, it's like that feels awesome.
Yeah, I think too though, man, like you and me are similar in a lot of ways, and even though we're different parts of the country, you know, but sometimes you are in the moment and head down, and you're like, God, I'm not getting nothing done. Like, and then you look back and like, wow, I've come a long way, you know, and you forget where you started at.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so funny, even like hiking.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't take breaks when I hike. I just go, and when I go with my fiance, or now my wife now, because we're married, wedding's coming up in a month, I have to take breaks with her, you know, because she's like, can we take a break? And then when I stop and then I look back, I'm like, oh, wow, look at that view. That's a nice view, you know, and she's all breathing all heavy. But I think it's hard. It's so hard when you're wired to just keep going, you know. Yeah. It's hard to kind of just take moments to just appreciate it.
And it's not like, for me, I don't know about you, but like I get in love with the process of building something.
Yeah.
Like that's I don't even care if this works, man. I built out this new CRM thing that took me all this time, and you know, all the steps and the touches and everything, and it's like, you know, like, wow, this is nuts. I spent 5 days on it, and it's like, okay, now what? You know, it's like, we got to do something else. So like, I just completely revamped. I do an onboarding with all new hires, and so I only hire people. You only start 1 day a month in my office, and it's because when I start training people, I'm either training 6 of you or I'm training 1 of you, but we're doing it full through. We're not going to be 2 weeks with you and 4 weeks with you and 5 weeks with you. Like, we're just not going to do that. Yeah. So I try to hire in bulk at once. Mm-hmm. And so I've revamped my whole presentation that I do to people in that onboarding, you know, because I'm like, okay, I want them in here energized, faster, better, stronger, quicker, you know, to speed. And so I've really enjoyed building it. Like, how do I make it better? How do I make it better?
Yeah. Well, talk about your onboarding process. I love that you bring that up, because I did my onboarding process incorrectly for a lot of years. And I want you to talk about what it was to what it is now. And it's probably, you're still crafting it, right? Still making it better as good as possible.
Yeah.
But talk about what it was. 'Cause maybe there's some people listening that it's like, damn, I'm doing that. Yeah. You know, and then maybe you'll give them some ideas on.
Yeah, man. Well, so I'm young enough that I can remember coming out of the job force that I would like job field, you know, as not an owner of the business. And which I'm sure you've been there, like they're just like, okay, here's your vest and you're working with Jimmy today, and Jimmy's telling you like, yeah, man, we get an hour for lunch, but I take hour 15, and you know, like you're getting all these bad things, and so it's like you just kind of throw them to the wolves. Like with insurance, we rely so heavily on productivity of people, you know, and it's like you can't throw them out there with your worst producer or your worst LSP if you're at Allstate and expect them to come out writing more than everybody in the office, because that person that's been sneaking by maybe with you. So that's one thing, is like, okay, but what I would do, man, golly, I haven't talked about this in a while because it's just been so foreign, but we would hire you and get you on and, yeah, you know, call a few of your friends and stuff so we can teach you how to quote, and here's a script of what we say, and, oh, man, I forgot to get you to sign this thing. And then you come back now, hey, forgot to get you to sign this thing. I need you to do this production. Why aren't you producing? You know, and it's like, we're putting these leads on you, man. You need to be making calls. And it's like, wow. And so now it's not a thrown to the wolves. It's incredibly structured. incredibly structured. So, and I'm even going structuring it more. But we do a full onboarding with you as if you started at a Fortune 500 company, right? And I don't have 100 employees, so I know I'm trying to make it sound like I am, but if you don't think big, you're never going to be big, for one, because you're going to have to go through hiccups along the way. But we onboard you. Okay, first things first, here's the documents we need signed from you. Here's what we expect of you. Here's an expectations agreement. Sign this so you know what we want from you. Here's what your day-to-day activity looks like. Sign this. And you agree with it. You know what's going on, right? Okay, awesome. Here's a copy of it just in case you forget. Mm-hmm. So those things, and then we go through, okay, let's log into your system here. Here's your company-issued computer. Can you log in? Awesome. Okay, here's our phone system. Can you log in? Here's your logins. Bookmark it. Here's our CRM. Here's how you put a new lead inside the CRM. And, we're not worried about calling it today, but we are just going to show you, this is where you go to find X, Y, and Z. And then we've recently built in, because in my office we role play every single day, we've now built in a role play period in it where we call somebody randomly in the office that's already there. We're going to role play. You're expected to do this every single day. I know you're nervous and you're going to be, awful at first, but this is your life now. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to work here. Mm-hmm. And then so it's a full day of this, step by step by step. We don't write, for instance, here's my non-negotiables inside the office. So I don't write state minimum auto insurance. We are willing to walk away from the deal. 100%, we will walk away if you want that. We're just not going to write it for you. And if you write it in my office, you will not have a job tomorrow.
Wow.
And so sign this. You understand, right? And those things are valuable to me. And so it's incredibly clear. And I have a really good friend who's he's one of the top 1% farmers agents of the nation, and me and him talk all the time. And this is going to be insulting, so I'm sorry, but I want my new producers to not have to think. Here's exactly what to do, here's exactly how to do it, here's exactly how to say it, and exactly what we want every single day. You're not allowed to think. Now, when you get some time under your belt and some closes, then you start to think, But those are the things onboarding are huge. After their first day, though, with me of onboarding and everything's clear, we usually onboard on a Friday, so you can go home and digest.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, is this for me? Mm-hmm. And then Monday morning, you have a schedule, and you're expected to start with my team. And now we start doing things like you're immediately in your training, you're immediately in a role play, and then afterwards we come out and we start showing you step by step how to do things like quote, how to make a call, how to log notes and systems. So really, really structured, scheduled routine.
Yeah.
Until we're up to speed.
The biggest thing I get from that is just the clear expectations. Mm-hmm. There's no wiggle room as far as what's expected of them. So, yeah, I love that. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, and the expectations agreement is probably the biggest part of it all, because we were talking about this before. Most of the time people that make it more than 90 days with us tend to stay, right? So when I have them sign that expectations agreement, I have it broke out weekly, what's expected of you each week for the next 3 months. So if you fall short or you break one and we decide to part ways, everything's a little lenient, right? I just bring you in, I pull out the sheet that you signed and dated and I signed with you, and I lie, hey bud, you didn't hold up your side of the deal and we don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
And so then since doing that, I've never had somebody go, well, you never gave me a chance. I wanted to argue. They're like, yeah, man, I didn't.
That's good.
Yeah.
Because I cannot remember the last time somebody took a termination badly.
Yeah.
And it's because they almost expect it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they'll leave before that because they feel it.
Yeah.
They feel it coming.
Yeah, man. They're like,
and they'll just pull the trigger before you. And those are the best,
I think Kim and them would tell you, when Cole's attention gets on you, then it's okay, you're in trouble. Because if I'm not paying attention to you, you're pretty good.
You're doing great. If you haven't heard from me, you're doing great.
Yeah.
It's such a lovely business, man. I'm grateful that I can just look from the top down to see the activity, see the numbers, and I don't have to talk to anybody. I could just say, like, I could just reach out to the managers and just say, like, hey, what's happening with this person? How many times have you met with them this week to coach or train them or to develop them? Because their numbers, one, there's no result. I see the activities are happening. Mm-hmm. They probably just need more coaching or training, or this just isn't for them.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because like it isn't for them. It's okay for this to not be for people. And I think sometimes as business owners, we kind of cripple people because we're like, oh, we'll give them a chance. You could be holding them back from going and find something they are good at and they are going to be successful at, or something that they are potentially going to be revolutionary at, right?
Yep.
And you're like, I think I can force them into this, making them work here, and they'll be really good if I just do this, and this. Like, you're holding them back in a sense.
Yep. I had no, I won't even get into it. But I think sometimes we need to set some people free and to go find whatever that thing might be,
And some people, man, they make it easy on them. Like you got to go.
Yeah.
I think so many people like just don't have a strong work ethic anymore.
Yeah.
That's just nationwide. Everybody I talk to, they're like, man, whatever the minimum is, they might get there.
That's something that Craig says all the time. It's just people are wired to do just enough to get by.
Yeah.
And I hate that, because it's almost like you feel like you're kind of micromanaging some people to put forth that extra effort,
Yeah, and it's so hard, man, because one of the hardest things for me as a leader, as a coach, as a business owner has been like, I thought, man, everybody's got I've realized like not everybody's the problem. I'm the issue, because not everybody else is like me, who's trying to push, who wants to do that. It's like if you tell some people like I'm gonna make $100 million in the next 10 years, right? They would be like, you're freaking crazy.
Yeah.
What do you need that? What are you going to do that for? And you and me are sitting here like, why wouldn't you? You're crazy for not
$250.
Yeah. Like, and they're like, bro, I need $60,000 and some Busch Light and I'm good.
Yep.
But like, that's just not who I am. And
I think I've gotten a small taste of what freedom feels like, and I choose to come to the office and I choose to keep building this thing, and I feel guilty if I'm not creating opportunities for my team.
Yeah.
But to your point, this taste of freedom and having options, because it's like money doesn't give you happiness, it just gives you freedom to make different choices and options, and to give back, to help family. And it's almost like I want that so badly for other people, and it's like if they don't want that for themselves, I like not take offense to it, but it's just like, how wouldn't you want this?
It's hard, man. It's really hard because, like I said, sometimes you believe in people way more than they believe in themselves.
And I'm the type of leader, and I know you are too, that I want this for you, even if it means like you have to like go do something else to achieve that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not expecting you to achieve that with me, but I'm hoping that you can at least learn some of these skills that are going to help you in future phases of your life. Like I'm pretty sure things you've done in previous jobs or gigs have helped contributed to your entrepreneurial journey, right?
Yeah, man. Like, I was an engineer at Halliburton, which I handled high grade explosives and things like that. And what I learned was how to find a problem by, tracing the chain of things, right? So we started A. It wasn't problems not at A. Started B. Started C. D. D is what the problem is, And I'm like, wow. You start to think like, now my mind is wired to think that way. It's like, so instead of trying to set back the problem bird's eye view and be like, what's the problem? I just start dissecting each step of something, which is what I do, like sales calls and stuff. I'm like, okay, what's the intro sound like? And then like, okay, let's pull another call. Okay, let's pull a third, fourth, fifth call. Every time you say X, they hang up on you. quit saying X. You know, like, and so it's like, man, I've learned to dissect things from previous careers, and that's been valuable to me, and I didn't even know it was going to be.
Yeah. Yes, and it's crazy, like, when you're that analogy of like baking a cake, you know, as you relate that to like a sales process.
Yeah.
If you screw up on the eggs or the flour, that cake isn't going to look the way it's supposed to look or taste the way it's supposed to taste. And same thing with a sales call. That's powerful, because a lot of times it's not one thing on a sales call that ruins it. It's usually like just a bunch of little things. Just
things that take away from your power. And so if I watched Tom Brady play last year. You and me went to that game together, actually. Went to Tom Brady at
New Orleans.
Yeah. Yep. And so if you watch Tom Brady, there's no wasted things, right? I was so impressed with him. I thought he was perfect. And I don't mean that like in a bromance. Like, he was just flawless. If you watched him, he was the same every step, perfection. And I love that, because nothing in there is wasted, because mistakes are going to happen. So you got to eliminate the little things that you can, like saying And so you have Kobe Bryant posters in here, like a free throw, for instance, okay? It's just that it's free. Those points matter at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So let's not ruin the little things, because there's going to be things that get in our way later that are obstacles we have to overcome that will take energy. So role play for me, it's your warm up. It's your free throw. It's your chance to screw up and sound dumb and try new things, because it's free. It's a safe place. Mm. But when you get on the phone with a lead that I'm paying for, that you've made $200 to get to, you better be on your A game. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't think like that. They think, well, I'll just warm up as the day goes, and that's such a backwards mindset. What does warming up cost you? It's so ineffective. And that's why we role play. Like, you're not going to throw up. If you've ever been in multi-level marketing, they call it throwing up on somebody, right?
Yeah.
But you're not going to throw up on my leads, man.
Right.
We're going to throw up on each other, get it out of the way, and then start our day.
And that's sometimes a problem when you provide too many internet leads or transfers, because it's like, oh, the next bus is gonna be here in 15 minutes. Type thing, you know, and that kind of spoils them a little bit. I do need to create some consequences for people that aren't taking full advantage of my leads, like pulling them off.
It's so hard, man. Isn't it hard? Because like when you take somebody off of leads, you don't hurt just them. You hurt yourself too, man. You're like, gosh, dang. Like, and so it's really a hard thing. It's like, I want to punish you, but I don't want to punish myself. And it's like, so it's very, very hard.
That's effective though. Mark Mercer does that a lot, and he gets his A player, like even his A player. He's doing these punishments typically to his A players. That's so full transparency. One of the things that we got away from in this huge hiring and training and onboarding to scale into this office in Oregon was we took our focus away from our A players, from our top people, and just assuming that like they're the OG veterans, you know, and their numbers slowly start to go down, and you got to give love to your A players too. Yeah. They don't got it all figured out. They need the coaching and the development just like we do.
Sometimes they just need a phone call. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, man, you're crushing it right now.
Yep.
Anything I can do for you. Mm-hmm. And like they may tell you, like, I wish you'd just leave me alone.
Like,
I'm good. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, man. Man, you said some great stuff, man. I think I can't wait to chop this up and drop this. So I've got one more question for you, maybe two. Before I get into my last question, is there a question that you wish insurance agents asked you more? People that need help or coaching, like, is there something that you wish people asked you more?
Yeah, you know, something that, and this is going to be kind of high level. Have you had Ryan Chao on here before? Mm-hmm. So Ryan Chao's the king of this, what I'm fixing to talk about. There's another guy called John Graham. He's with Little Giant Marketing. He's the king of it. Him and Ryan are very closely. But I think enough agents don't talk about their actual numbers of their business, whatever marketing strategy you're doing, right? I think they're always like, well, that lead vendor sucks. It's like, well, you don't really know. Because if you've worked internet leads, a lot of them run different channels to give you different types of leads. 3 of the channels may be awful, but 2 of them may be awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I wish more agents knew their numbers, man. Like, how many agents have you talked to? Well, what's your marketing budget each month? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, you're chopping your own foot off here by not paying attention to your business instead of paying attention to your insurance agency. And they are different. And so many agents do not know where their profit centers are. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee if you get into the numbers, some of these people will be like, this producer makes me so much money. They may be losing money on them because they just don't know. And then you talked about zip codes a while ago. You really like to focus on zip codes. Todd McLean has said this, and I'm name dropping a lot of people in here, and you should look them up. But they, 80% of your marketing money is probably being wasted. Mm-hmm. And so you go and pull your zip code you're marketing to. I'll bet you if you had 25 zip codes, 10 of them you hadn't even done a quote in, but you're buying leads there.
Yep.
So why are you buying leads there? Why are you continuing to spend money in a no profit
Or you've
zone?
quoted 30 there.
Not closed one. So why are we here? Mm-hmm. Why are we here? And so how do you increase your marketing budget without spending more money? You stop spending money in places that it's not making you money.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Enough agents. There's tons of ways and resources out there that can help you know your numbers and help you know what you're talking about. You don't have to do it all on your own and be, a mathematician to figure it out. Call somebody and maybe you pay a service, but valuable.
Yeah. Oh, I can honestly say I didn't fully know my numbers. I always had, I used to if I was like a drug dealer, I would eyeball it. I'm eyeballing my numbers, right? Put it on a scale. Man, it's about right. We're closing that much business there, right? Just looking at agency Zoom. But after talking to Ryan and actually tracking everything, it really opens up your eyes. And I fire lead sources pretty quickly, or zip codes pretty quickly, because
see, I've gotten away from, I'm tracking individual channels with lead companies. And so you may be at, one lead company and this lead crushes. So I'm like, okay, give me all the volume of that you can give me. The rest of your stuff, you keep that in the bag. I don't want to touch it. And so, like I said, I'm working with multiple carriers to get the best of their best.
Yeah.
That's what I try
good.
to do.
That's something I don't know if I'm even doing yet. So, well, Cole, man, before I get into this last question, just want to acknowledge you, man. So one thing about you that I appreciate, just as a friend, is you have reached out to me out of the blue, and I know I'm not the only person that does that you do this for. You've reached out to me so many times, and it usually is just something for no reason at all, just to acknowledge me and just to say hey, man, just want to say, you're awesome, dude. Yeah. You've left me so many voicemails and just reached out, and I'm like, hey, bro, I'm busy right now. What's up? And you're like, man, just calling to, just tell you how awesome you are. Just something. And I think that just speaks to who you are, man. You make people feel special. You go out of your way to do it. And I know that I'm not the only person that you do that for, but it just makes me want to be better at that. If I can reach out to people and just make their day, if you try it, it's just a weird exercise where you just reach out to random people and just say, man, I acknowledge you.
To me, I don't do that on purpose. I just do it because I like to do it. But I've started planning my days really structured. And so I got this book on Amazon. It's called The High Performance Planner. And one of the things is who can I help today? I think is what it says in there, right? And so I just run through and jot names, And so I'll just call random people like you, hey man, just want to let you know you're freaking awesome. Anything I can do for you,
Yep.
And 95% of the time people say no, there's nothing you can do for me, dude, but thanks for the call. Or they may not even answer, and I just leave a voicemail, which is so great because I'm kind of pushing myself to do it, I'm like, thanks for not answering.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's just something that I'm like, why are we not telling other people how great they are? They're great. Let them know it.
Yep.
Something I try to do.
I love it, man. And, you've made me feel special. And so, I just got to acknowledge you for that. And just how good of a dude you are. I don't know how else to explain it. I just think you're solid, man. Since day one, I'm sitting there at the bar after a CWC Mastermind, and you sit right next to me like, hey, what are you drinking?
Yeah. You and Will, man.
Me and Will, you know, and just you forced that relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You literally forced this relationship.
I do that more than I probably should. Like, you're going to like me.
Yeah, man. So my last question before I let you go is this show is called A1 Agents, and the definition of A1 is to the highest of standards. Like Wagyu beef or A3, A5. And so I want to know 3 standards that you live your life by.
Man, it's a good question. Number 1 is you're never too big to remember the people that were there with you from the come up or have been there all along, right? So you're never too big for your people. Number 2 is it's constant improvement, never settling. Because I think I've talked about this before, settling or getting in a comfort zone in my world is just, I think it's death. I think it's writing on the wall, right? And then something that I'm learning is it's okay if everybody's not the same as you. And I think a lot of us forget, like, well, they're not doing this or not thinking how I think or whatever, and so that makes them wrong. Doesn't make you wrong. You and me have actually had this conversation. Even Thanos, right? So if you've watched Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Thanos believed he was right. So if the way he viewed it is okay. That's kind of funny. The way he viewed it was right, and the way we viewed it was wrong. It doesn't make you right or wrong, and that's okay to have different views or opinions on things. And so that's been something huge for me. Is like, just because they don't think like you doesn't make them wrong.
Yeah.
So I just had to come with that.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, Thanos, man, he's my favorite villain. Because when you saw things from his perspective, you're like, he's not too bad,
Yeah, when you think about it. I'm a big, Joker guy from The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
I love the Heath Ledger. And there's, so many. Sometimes the villains are a little more relatable than the heroes.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? There's that saying that the difference between the hero and the villain is that they both had some life-changing adversity that happened. One just chose, I'm going to help the world, and the other one was like, I'm going to go after the world or something
I'm
like
going to
that.
burn this place down.
Yeah, I'm going to burn this place down, something like that. Well, Cole, how can people find you? I know that, you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. How can people find you?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I'll be starting a YouTube channel pretty soon. We're going to do a lot of short-form content, long-form content, and so I'm hoping to help a lot of people right there at no cost. I'm not trying to sell something. I have no interest in selling you something. I just want to provide content and stuff for people that maybe they can't afford a coach or a mentor right now, But Facebook, Instagram is a great way to reach me. I have a LinkedIn. I'm getting pretty big in LinkedIn right now, and I want people to reach out, man. I want to talk to people. I want to help people, and sometimes it's intimidating to reach out to people. They kind of feel like, man, they're so higher than me, and sometimes shooting a DM is the best way to get to talk to somebody, man.
Shoot your shot. Yeah.
Worst they can do is leave you unread.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So Cole, thanks again for being with us. I'll drop all your socials in the in the description. And guys, if you tuned in this far, thank you so much. If you got some value, you know what to do. Please share this with a friend. Hit the like button, subscribe, and till next time. Peace.